Okay, today we're going to work on a design called 1.2.5 square column with holes. We're going to start off first making sure that our view cube is in the correct orientation. If it is not, you need to stop what you're doing, go back and get that set before you move on. We're going to go to our data panel. You want to make sure you're in your IED designs and your unit 1. Now, let me check this. This should have been deleted. Okay. So now you're going to go to File, and we want to go to Save. 1.2.5 square column with holes. Oops. Make sure your location's correct and click Save. Once that populates in both your data panel and on your design tab, you can close your data panel. This particular design we are going to be doing in inches. We've been working in millimeters. Now we're switching over to inches. Go to your document settings. Make sure it says inches. If it does not, you need to change your active units. My setting is in units, or my units are in inches, so I'm good. So I'm going to leave that be. We're going to start off by creating a sketch. So we're going to go on up, we're going to go up to our toolbar. You can either click on the Create Sketch icon, or you can open up the Create menu and go down to Create Sketch. I want to use my XZ plane. This is my XZ plane. I'm using the XZ plane because I'm building up from the plane. So I want to select that. Now we're going to go on up to Create. We're going to select Circle, and we want to make sure we select the center diameter circle. There's 5 different types of circles. We want center diameter circle. I'm going to go to the center of my grid here where the X and Y axis meet. I'm going to click, and I'm going to start dragging out. I want this diameter to be 1.25 inches. So I'll type in my 1.25, I'll hit enter, and now I'm going to go on up to the corner and I'm going to hit finish sketch. Next thing we want to do is extrude this circle. So I'm going to go on up to my toolbar. Again, you can either open up the Create menu and find extrude, or you can click on it right from the icon in the toolbar. It automatically selects that circle because that's the only object we have. We're going to keep the profile plane, the one side, the distance all the same, or our extent type the same. Our distance is going to be 0.5 inches. We're going to keep this as new body operation and click OK. Now we have a cylinder. Next thing we're going to do, we're going to create another sketch. So I'm going to go on up to Create Sketch. I am going to select the top, and you might have to zoom a bit to be able to select the top of the object. You don't want one of the 3 planes here. You want the top of that cylinder. And it should face you. So now we're going to create a center rectangle. I'm going to go on up to Create Rectangle. I'm doing it this way instead of going directly to here, because if I go right on to the icon, it's a 2-point rectangle. I want a center rectangle. I'm going to click Center Rectangle, click at my origin point, start dragging out. We want this to be 0.5, so I can type in my 0.5, and then I can hit my tab and do 0.5 again, and hit Enter. Now I'm going to click Finish Sketch. We're going to extrude that square that we just made. We're going to extrude it 1 3/4 inches to make it into a rectangular column. So I'm going to go on up to my extrude. Again, you can click Create and go down to extrude, or you can just click on extrude in the extrude icon in the toolbar. And I'm going to select just that square that we just sketched. Okay, so in your dialog box now it should say Type, Extrude, Profiles 1 selected. Everything else we're going to leave the same. our distance, we're going to make the distance 1.75. We're going to make sure the operation says join, because we want these two to be connected, and we're going to click OK. This is what you should have at this point. I'm going to go back up again. I'm going to click Create Sketch again. Once I click Create Sketch, I want to choose the top of the column that I just created. I'm going to go back on up to Create. I'm going to go to Circle, and I want this to be a center diameter circle. I'll click my center diameter. I'm going to find the center of my object. I'm going to drag this out. I want this to be 1.25 diameter. I'm going to click Enter. And I'm going to click Finish Sketch. Okay. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to extrude that circle we just created. So I'm going to go on up to Extrude in my toolbar. I'm going to select that circle. Notice when I first select the circle, the middle of it is gray. The middle of it did not get selected. So you need to make sure that everything is blue. If the center did not get selected, you need to select it. In your extrude box here, you should have your type as extrude, and you should have 2 selected for your profiles. Everything else is going to remain the same for now. Our distance is going to be 0.25. We want to make sure the operation says join and click OK. So now we have our column created. We're going to place 3 holes in the front view of that square column. So to get to the front view, I go up to my view cube, and I can see right here it says front. Right here next to the Z, this is my front view. So I'm going to click on that front, and it turns my entire design so I'm looking at the front view of my design. I'm going to go ahead and go on up to Create, and I want to look for Hole. You'll notice there's also a hole icon on the toolbar. Either one is fine. We want our placement to be at point, single hole, and we're just going to click somewhere in this rectangle. I'm going to make this a little bit smaller. I'm going to drag these handles here. I'm going to make it smaller so that it completely fits on that rectangle. The reference I'm going to use, I'm going to click Select Reference, and I'm going to select my right edge of that column. And I want that reference to be 0.25. Hit Enter. I'm going to select my next reference. My next reference, might need to tilt this a little bit. I want this line right here where the column and the cylinder meet. So I'm going to click on that. And I want this to be 0.5. Okay, so once I have that in place, I'm now going to go down to my diameter. Let me see. Actually, I want to... We can change our drill point to flat. And we want to make sure extents should be changed to all. And then our diameter is going to be 0.25. And then we're going to select OK. So we have our first hole completed. Our second hole, we're going to do a lot of the same. We're going to go on up to Create Hole. We're going to select single hole, at point, single hole. I'm going to click on the face. I'm going to go back to my reference, my first reference. My first reference is going to be this edge, the right edge. And that reference is going to be 0.25. Oops. There we go, 0.25. And then the reference for this one, I just want to make sure, is going to be in the same line down here. And this I want to be 1 inch distance. So I'm going to type in 1. And my diameter is still going to be 0.25 inches. And I'm going to click OK. So I got 2 holes in there now. I'm going to do my third hole. Go on up to Create Hole. Placement, at point, single hole. I'm going to select the face again. I want to click or select, I'm going to click the right edge. I'm going to change this to 0.25. I'm going to select reference again, my second reference, and I'm going to select that same reference, that bottom part right here, and I want this to be 1.5. Okay. My diameter for the circle still, or for the hole, is going to be 0.25, and I'm going to click OK. So when you get done, that's what that should look like. Make sure I've got everything on that, and that is your final product. So then you'll export this and you will send it to me in Canvas.